what's up, and welcome along to another edition of Tea and Tech with myself, Mr. B. This is a podcast where we talk all things tech, all whilst enjoying a nice cup of tea. It's as simple as that. So let's get straight into it and let's talk all things Apple. So we had the big event yesterday from Apple where they announced two new products. Three new products, but we'll touch on that in a second. Two physical new products, which we were kind of anticipating. One was the updated MacBook and the other was AirPods. So let's start with AirPods, shall we? So AirPods haven't been updated in a long time, apart from the AirPods Pro and AirPods Max. The original AirPods haven't had anything done to them since probably, I would say, 6 to 7 years now. AirPods has, this is the third generation. So this is a cross between AirPods Pro and the old AirPods with regards to the looks. So you don't have the little silicone insert which goes into your ear. You have an AirPod that looks more like the original, so that rounded earbud that just sits inside your ear. Now, because of that, you don't actually get the active noise cancelling on the AirPods. That is a feature that only comes in on the Pro range, so the AirPods Pro or the AirPods Max. They're the only two that give you the active noise cancelling. But they have made some advances on the AirPods for sure. Things like we are now looking at, if we scroll through, let me have a look. So we're looking at music on a more personal note, as they say. Adaptive EQ. Adaptive EQ automatically tunes music to the shape of your ear. Inward-facing microphones detect what you're hearing and then adjust the low and mid-range frequencies to deliver the rich details in every song, customized for you in real time. So they're putting a big emphasis on the bass side of it. So dynamic drivers powered by custom amplifiers renders music in exceptionally detailed sound quality. They're really pushing home the audio quality on these products. Now, if you're like me, the original AirPods didn't exactly fit my ears perfectly. Everybody's ear shapes are different. And because of that, I didn't get the full sound from them. I didn't get a lot of bass. If I wanted to get the bass on it, I would have to push the AirPods in quite a lot to get that sound. Now I use the AirPods Pro and they obviously go right into the ear, and that silicone seal allows for that nice bottom end, that's bass sound to come through. So they've pushed through on this so that it's a big feature for them on the AirPods. The outside of the AirPods, similar to the AirPods Pro, has a black mesh which has a microphone built in. And now that is a acoustic mesh, and inside is the microphone. And what that does is it will minimize the noise, the wind noise that's coming through on the earphones or AirPods while you're on a call. So your voice is now always nice and loud and clear. They've also made some changes to how you control them. So like the AirPods Pro, you have got the little force sensor on the stem, on the stubby stem, which allows you to skip, pause, play, and answer calls as well. They are now IPX4 rated. So if you're out for a jog and it happens to shower or you are sweating, they are protected, and that goes for the AirPods as well as the case. They've made some changes with the batteries, obviously, which now gets you up to 6 hours of listening with one charge, and then a total of up to 30 hours when you include the case, so recharging them. Connection is as simple as any other product, which is not really a major announcement. This happened even on the old AirPods. All you do is open the case next to your Apple device and it will recognize it, and it will now detect and connect. They are saying that there is an enhanced skin detect sensor now, so it knows when it's actually in your ear rather than sitting on a table or sitting on another surface. It detects that it's in your ear and then will allow it to play that. It also has the Find My functionality now, which was on the latest firmware release for the AirPods Pro. So you can now track your AirPods by using the Find My app, and it will show you a little directional icon on which way to walk and how far roughly you are away from your product that you're searching for. One of the other things that is already in place with the AirPods Pro and AirPods Max is that you can audio share. So what that means is if I'm watching or listening to something on my iPad or my iPhone, you can connect a second pair of AirPods now, so that two people can listen to music or a movie or podcast, even better, at the same time. So this is really handy if you're, a couple on a flight and you're watching a movie on your iPad or on your iPhone. You can both use your own AirPods and watch and listen at the same time. You can obviously brand your cases like you can with any of the products on the Apple Store. You can have them personalized. And they are offering 6 months of Apple Music free with your AirPods as well. So that's another little incentive. If you haven't already got Apple Music, they're offering 6 months of that. And that was kind of it on the AirPods. The big one was the MacBook Pro. So the MacBook Pro has historically been the flagship notebook for Apple. It was always the product of choice for most creators. I won't say all, but for most creators, whether it's using photo editing, video editing, even composing, creating music, the MacBook was always in there somewhere along that process. Now, they've always been exceptionally powerful units. I currently use the 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro with the touch bar. And spec it off the top of my head, I can't remember, but it's an extremely powerful machine and well capable of delivering when needed. I do some 3D rendering on there, building 3D models, music, playing with music, a lot of video editing, all done on the MacBook Pro without any issues. But what Apple have done and what we've seen over the last couple of months is they have started developing their own chips. Two reasons for that. A, it keeps costs down, or keeps costs within the company, should I say, so they're not buying external chips. And B, it gives them more control of what they can do and develop their chips a lot faster than others. So historically, Apple would use Intel chips, and now they're using their own. So the M1 chip was the big announcement at the beginning of this year, which was in the new iMacs and the new the new iPads. Now they are bringing that into the MacBook Pro, and there's two types. There's the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. Now these do bring huge advances to how the MacBook will operate on a day-to-day basis. If you're a heavy user and you're doing a lot of video editing, or you're creating games, or you're writing code, you'll know that MacBooks, when the fan kicks in, they can get a little bit noisy when they're being pushed a little hard, and they pull a lot of power. So normally you have to have it plugged into the mains. Whereas now a big focus for Apple is the power efficiency as well as the speed. So with the M1 Pro chip, it's up to 9 times faster graphics performance, and it has over 200 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. And that will support 2 external displays. Now that's at least 4K displays. I can't remember off the top of my head the total specs, but it's at least 2 4K displays. Then you have the M1 Max. Now that is up to 13 times faster graphics performance, which is an incredible feature, and has over 400 gigabytes a second of memory bandwidth, which, if you are, again, a heavy user, that's something that you're going to notice straight away when using these. They have the Liquid Retina XDR display, which they use in their Pro range monitors, which delivers extreme dynamic range and incredible contrast ratio. And one of the other things that was mentioned in the event last night was the ports. So there's obviously been a lot of complaints, or not complaints, a lot of moaning over the last few years with MacBooks that everything's an addition. You always need an adapter. You always need to do this. You always need to do that to get your product connected to everything. Now what they've done is they've connected 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. They've an SDXC card slot. So if you're a photographer, SD card straight into the side for quick transfer of your content onto the Mac. And it also has an HDMI port. Now, we haven't seen an HDMI port on a MacBook, I think, can't remember when, a long time ago. And the idea is that this is allowing you to be able to connect to your infrastructure and your externals without having to use any adapters, while still giving you a couple of free extra ports. They have upgraded the FaceTime camera. Now, they've only updated it to a 1080p camera, but it's a high fidelity. It has a high fidelity 6-speaker sound system as well, and a studio quality mic array. And so the combination of the microphone and the new camera is something that is drastically needed within the Macs. Although I think most people now, when they're using MacBooks, whether it's for conferencing calls like Zoom or any other of the products that you can use for video chatting, whether it's FaceTime, whatever, most people, I would say, at the minute use an external webcam, or as I am with this podcast, using a Sony camera, which is connected to my computer and essentially used as a webcam. Now, I get it. If you're out and about, you probably don't want to be setting up webcams, so you will just use the standard inbuilt camera. For me, even on the 2018 MacBook Pro that I have, the 15-inch, I stay well clear of that camera just because it's so bad. So bad. So they've made changes on that. They've also increased the battery life, so you've now got up to 17 hours of battery life, so you can keep going longer no matter where you are. And a lot of the presentation and the event last night was about how the MacBooks perform whilst connected, but also whilst disconnected from the mains, keeping that performance level still there. Now, speaking of being connected, they have brought back the MagSafe. Now, this was a simple little thing, but it was a power connector with a magnet. It's as simple as that, and that was one of the best things that they had on the original Macs. Why? Well, the first example being that if you're connected to the mains, and simple thing, when somebody walks past, trips on the cable, rather than pulling your whole MacBook off the table onto the floor, it literally just pulls the cable off by magnets. It's very easy to come off, but strong enough to hold on there at the same time. Now, it's the MagSafe 3, and it charges your MacBook a lot faster than before. You can still charge through the Thunderbolt connections as well, but there was a lot of people asking for the MagSafe to come back, and they obviously listened. And the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID is now built into the MacBook Pro as well. I won't go into too much detail on that, but it's essentially very similar to the keyboards that they are selling separately for the iMacs, the new iMacs. And then obviously we will have macOS Monterey, which obviously gives you more performance and takes advantage of those new chips that are in there. And that will be out shortly. The other thing that was mentioned, and it was kind of a throw-in, is Apple Music, and it was very strange. You had Zane Lowe on there talking about Apple Music and being able to control Siri, or your Apple Music with Siri, which I don't really know what the benefit of that is, because at the minute you can use Siri to play certain tracks, play certain artists. So I didn't get it. Maybe it's just me being silly, but I didn't really get what the extra advantage of this is. It's called Apple Voice, I believe. And it's a subscription that is $4.99 a month to have. Now, for me, it doesn't make sense. I'm not paying $5 a month just to be able to get extra features of Siri in the music. It's not something that I would use all the time. So that was kind of it. Oh, actually, no. They had the AirPod, not the AirPods, the HomePods Minis. Again, a bit of a throw-in just to fill some time by the looks of it. But the HomePod Mini, which was historically available in white and black or space gray, is now available in yellow, red, and blue. So it now seemingly fits in more locations just because it has a different color. And that was kind of it from what I can remember. But it was something that was expected. We knew there was another event coming. There was rumor of a iMac Mini, sorry, not iMac, Mac Mini Pro, which we didn't see. And the Mac Mini kind of had a reburst of energy over the last probably 12 months since they started putting the M1 chip in there, and it was really increasing the performance of that product. So that was something that I was expecting, and a few other people had mentioned they were going to see a Pro version of that, and maybe that's something that's going to happen further down the line. But as it is for now, we have a new MacBook Pro, we have new AirPods, we have new colors for HomePods, for HomePod Mini, and you can pay $5 extra a month for Apple Music Voice, whatever that is. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Don't forget that you can find me on Instagram, Mr. BK Official. I also have a YouTube channel. Head on over and you can see some of my videos where I do some product reviews, as well as post the video side of this podcast as well. Check me out on Twitter, Mr. BK Official. Don't forget, if you want anything in particular that you want me to talk about, reach out to me, let me know, and we can look at it. But thank you for listening, and I will hopefully see you, or you will hear me on the next one.